If I'm not mistaken, guys, I think the tokens that we're looking at now, any other tokens like aside from Pulsex and Pulse, is from the past snapshots, right?
Yeah, it's about a month ago.
Yeah, I think it's like a month ago because I'm looking at my tokens that was being transferred to the Pulse chain. I have Paul Pleb and Zen, those two tokens.
Yeah, Robert, I just pulled up a couple of my different addresses and they're not populated on the Block Explorer yet.
Thank you for confirming. Mine, I'm looking too, and it's the same thing. My Pulse and Pulsex is right, but others haven't shown up yet. The ones I expected to be copied over.
Well, it depends on when the snapshot was taken too.
Yeah, these are all coins I've had forever, so I was expecting to show up.
So I didn't sacrifice for Pulse chain, but I sacrificed for Pulse X, and I'm sure a lot of people are in the same situation. However, I'm looking at the V3. The swap value went from 1 to 11. Now it's back to 3.17. And to be honest, I'm not 100%. I don't think I'm going to swap my Pulse X for Pulse chain. But if it's 1-to-1, I would have loved to do that.
Yep, I wouldn't recommend it either.
Last I checked, more people sacrifice for Pulse X actually, because people missed the first sacrifice and then they aped into the second one with the idea to swap back to PLS. So I think it's very likely that people want to trade their PLSX for Pulse and their Hex for Pulse because they missed the first sacrifice. And then people just found out later.
Well, my story is quite funny because I have no reason to miss Pulse chain, but I did, and it's my sister's fault. She wasn't very technical, so she didn't sell it to me properly. So all what she was saying is that you need to put down your Ethereum and get this, your sacrifice, and she just couldn't. She wasn't just passing the message through. So I end up, because she wasn't, selling it to me, I just left it. So I saw a video for Joe Perry after the old sacrifice, and I said, "Oh my God, this is what she's trying to explain to me." So as soon as Pulse X was introduced, I quickly jumped on it.
Hey, quick question. Does Pulse and Pulse X both burn, or is it just the Pulse X? I forgot.
They both burn.
They both burn their token. Okay, thank you.
But the Pulse X has buy and burn. So they're slightly different.
And the way Pulse works right now, it's that it has the same mechanism as Ethereum has right now, but with an extra 25% burn on top.
Okay, and then Pulse has the buy orders, or Pulse X has buy orders, which actually help it even more.
Exactly.
I got a quick question. I don't know if you guys mentioned this already or not, but is anybody else having issues with their Pulse amount being off?
Yes. The indexing may not have been finished, or you may be looking at the wrong place. But some people didn't see anything at the beginning, and now they see it. So wait a little bit until the Block Explorer finished indexing.
Just wanted to point out that the Block Explorer does say they're still indexing, so totals may not be correct. If I just forgot to read in my excitement.
So when we calculated the supply from the sacrifices, it was 140 trillion, but that was like an old estimation. I don't know if it still holds true. Am I looking at the wrong announcement? Because for me, he says new RPC URL, and then it says https://RPC v3 testnet.
For Pulse X, right? The RPC URL I got straight from Richard Hart's Twitter. The chain ID, were you saying that it's also 942?
The chain ID is 942, yes.
Guys, Richard just tweeted that the easiest way to add your V3 is to go to the scan block explorer, and at the bottom you have add testnet V3. That's it. That's all you need to do.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. There's a link at the bottom of the Block Explorer.
I made the sacrifice phase for Pulse X, and I don't plan on ratio trading it for Pulse chain. But I was wondering what are some ways I could buy Pulse chain.
So to buy Pulse chain, you have three options. First, use one of the copied tokens to swap for it. Second, wait for the bridge in value from Ethereum, and then swap that value for Pulse. Third, wait for a centralized exchange and buy it via the centralized exchange. Those are the three options, and they will be available by the order I present to them.
Yeah, that would be a good time also to say, everybody, please be cautious. There is lots of scammers out there. Do not answer any DMs, private messages whatsoever. They will look like us admins because they fake their profiles. There is no wallet, there is no support, there is no tech. Especially now, scammers will hunt you.
So my question is, I sacrificed on PLSX. Are we going to be able to like convert from PLX to PLS like before the mainnet is launched?
Yeah, so once people set up liquidity pools, you can set up your own liquidity pool and just offer your PLSX. You have to wait for someone who has both PLS and PLX. People will try they will just try out the system. They will provide liquidity, and then once the liquidity is up, you will be able to swap to PLS and then also play around with that on the testnet. Maybe F5 and check every like a few hours or so if somebody already set up the liquidity.
All right. So and the PLSX is the same as one PLSX as the PLS, like 1-to-1, or I need like 10-to-1.
The ratios depend on what people set up and how people trade back and forth. The ratios will change over time. I remember on the V2 testnet, the ratio was 3-to-1 because more
now
people were.
It's 1-to-3, just like you said.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's what's happened because just more people had Pulsex, and then, but it doesn't matter what the ratio is because it's free. It's play money.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
If I've got quite a nice holding in Pulsex, where would I go to stake that, or is there options for that?
You won't have that option up in the beginning. It'll take time for the sponsored pools to be up. So that won't be anything you have to worry about immediately. It'll have to actually go through a DAO vote. So we don't even have the DAO voting up yet. Ag the dev on that's going to get some stuff tomorrow. It'll be a couple of days probably as we see the updates on Pulsex. But once they're up, then it'll actually have to go through a bit of a process before those pools are available.
Ah, okay, cool. So we've got time to, I'm just panicking where I've not kept up to date with it. So we're going to have some time to work out what to do and where to go, yeah?
100%. So you can obviously go on there and set up liquidity pools and play with that kind of liquidity. But if you're talking about like specifically the single-sided staking, what we'll see first will be just the process. You'll see in the DAO area, we'll actually see proposals for pools where whatever project wants to put up the value that'll be in that pool. So you get a chance to read through the proposal, see that it's coming up, then you'll actually see the pool go live. And so there'll be a steps to these first ones that we'll get a chance to see everything. And then, like I said, but we should get a chance to see all that play out on V3, and then you'll know what you're doing on Mainnet.
Cool. Nice one, man. Thanks for your help.
Cheers, brother.
Like, how would you have hex? How would you have test hex in your test wallet? Would you have already had it in there in your real wallet?
Yeah, you would have had it before the blocks split, before the fork happened for the testnet, and the testnet was already syncing and on private and so on already some time ago, probably a few weeks, I guess. Maybe Valrus, do you have the exact time by any chance? Did you read the GitLab when that happened?
No, I haven't back and checked yet.
Okay, but it was some weeks ago, I assume, at least.
Okay, I understand what you're saying. Thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
RH couldn't take 30 minutes and just enjoy his testnet. He literally launches it and then goes on trolling Bitcoiners in less than 30 minutes.
This is the way.
What a guy. Yep, I'm all excited. I'm waiting to hear back on a test we ran on something that we're hoping is going to go live with V3 so I can do some victory laps.
Is there any date of when Mainnet is going to happen?
No, and that date is not going to be released. It's just going to happen one day. So the idea is that there is some shenanigans that can be done with liquidity pools and flash loans and so on to get ahead and potentially do some harm for pools or get an unfair advantage. Therefore, the exact date or the exact block height will not be released. But a warning has been given yesterday by Richard Hart that testnet, once it's completed, and it counts as a warning that mainnet can then happen anytime after that.
Is it too late if you buy hex to get the copy?
Oh no, you can still the fork is gonna happen in the future. There is no snapshot. Once testnet testing has completed, then the mainnet launches. So the fork is gonna happen at the time in the future. It did not happen yet.
When the mainnet goes live, I'm just sort of concerned that the increase in hex is related to all the hype around PulseNet, also the Pulse chain, and it's just making me feel like a lot of people are going to convert from hex over to PulseX, for example. Is that a genuine concern, or should I just not be worried about that and just leave my hex where it is and sort of get new funds for PulseX, for example?
Some people are gonna buy hex now just to get PulseX and then sell it. Some people are gonna do it for the long term. Some people are gonna just see, oh, I want both now. I'm gonna have all of those people. But you said also something else in the beginning. You said you were buying Ethereum to have it on Pulse. The copy is gonna be diminished in value by a lot. If you have one Ethereum right now in your wallet, you will have one Pulse in your wallet on Pulse chain. And because of the conversion, you're gonna be diluted in terms of value that you can exchange on Pulse chain. I think it was a 1.2 million X, if I remember correctly. So some people are betting on the fact that, and this is also why they're buying hex, is that they can exchange the token of value, which is not getting diluted. So hex on Pulse, if you get a copy of that, it's not getting diluted, but Ethereum is getting diluted. And they're betting on the fact that they might be able to exchange their Pulse on their hex on Pulse for Pulse or for PulseX.
Thank you. I completely missed that. Awesome. Okay, I understand now.
So let's say once the bridge opens, someone who's brand new, who's never heard of Pulse Chain or Hex or anything, they hear about it, they want to come in. Obviously, they weren't in the sacrifice. They didn't get any Hex copied over. How do they get in? Is there, like, are they going to have to bring assets over on the bridge, or is there going to be, like, how would they go about buying in?
Yeah, there is 3 ways to get a piece of the meat. One, you go and transfer value via the bridge, and then you play around, you buy whatever you want with that bridged in token. 2, you own any token on Ethereum already, and then hope that there is some kind of liquidity. That's what I said just now with people buying Hex now to get a copy on Pulse chain and then trading that for Pulse or PulseX. The third option is to wait for a centralized exchange to trade Pulse or PLSX that also has an on-ramp via the normal banking system. So those 3 options exist. Oh, and actually there is a fourth one, but it's very minute, and that is there is gonna be a free faucet.
Yeah, the faucet.
There's gonna be there's gonna be a faucet for Pulse.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
Hey, is there any downside to adding liquidity, like liquidity pairs?
Yeah, you can have impermanent loss, meaning that you'll get left behind with the asset that is worth less if the price moves up on one of the assets. Let's say you have Hex and USDC in a pool, and if Hex soars up in price, you get left behind with more USDC because all your Hex is being traded out of your liquidity that you provide. So let's say the price doubles, you don't get that doubling in price because you're out of all your USD, all your Hex at this point in time.
Okay.
But you gain the fees, and this is what usually the liquidity providers are after. They want that steady income in specific ranges, and they try to set up liquidity in a range where there is lots of activity and the price is bouncing up and down, and then they make fees on those up and downs.
What do you think a good percentage to provide liquidity? So, like, you have 100% of your portfolio, of a portfolio, not yours. What is what's a good percentage to put out for liquidity?
It really depends on what you want to achieve with that. Some people use liquidity providing to cash in or cash out. Some people just want to earn fees, and then they do it on 100% of whatever they hold. Some people buy in specifically into a coin just to provide liquidity. So you cannot answer that question. It all depends on your situation and your knowledge and your experience with liquidity providing.
That's a
Once
good
you
idea.
understand those mechanics, and once you have a few examples, you will be able to understand it better and then answer the question for yourself: do I really want to do that, and does it make sense for my specific situation or for your specific situation?
And so, happy V3 launch day, everyone. First of all, it's an amazing time to be alive.